trans folks by trans folks here to let your voice be heard.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Transition Radio, and actually live from Wilton Manors, Florida. We've been away for a week, and we missed you all so terribly. But today we have a very special guest, Rajee Narinesingh, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. But before we do so, we want to have a word from our sponsors.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, thebreastformstore.com. Please check them out and tell them Transition Radio sent you. Don't forget, ladies, you can win your very own pair of gold seal plastic breast forms by sending us a short video telling us why you should be the winner of these girls.
And if you're a camera shy, I know many of you are, because we haven't received one video yet, then just send us a small letter or essay telling us why you should be the winners of these girls, and send that letter to transitionradioshow@gmail.com. Again, that's transitionradioshow@gmail.com. Well, Rajee is the author of Beyond Face Value. She shares her story to include the botched job it did with back alley facial injection at the hands of O'Neal Morris, a.k.a. Duchess. Rajee's memoir, Beyond Face Value, takes you on a journey through a life lived every negative influence possible. Whatever issue you had growing up, Rajee had it or worse. And she has come out the other side, beautiful on the inside and strong. Rajee's story has become the focus of global attention exactly a year ago. O'Neal Morris was arrested because one of her clients almost died when she was injected with a cocktail of fix-a-flat and cement, which was sealed with crazy glue, the exact same concoction that destroyed Rajee's face and body.
Beyond Face Value can teach us that no matter how bleak it seems, there is always hope. There is always a silver lining. And that no matter what, you can and should always remain true to who you are, as that will give you the strength to make it through. And here tonight to share her story with us is Rajee Narinesingh. Welcome to our show, Rajee.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It is such a pleasure.
It's our pleasure, sweetie.
We botched up your name so last week.
Well, no, I mean, you pronounced it well. You pronounced it well.
That's good. We were stressing about that. I said, ask her how that was pronounced. Both mine said Rajee, but all the other remainder of the name was like, oh, no, we're going to probably lost this one up. But I'm glad we did a little bit of justice.
You should have seen me when I was young trying to, learn how to spell it, because it is my birth name. It's an Indian name, and a lot of Indian names are like, they have like a unisex kind of vibe to them. So it worked out perfect for me. I didn't have to change it.
Oh, that is perfect. Well, you know what they say, that's what the Indian culture is like. The Indian culture strongly believes in the two-spirit, and that's exactly what we are.
That's right. I'm a firm believer in that, and I believe that we all have a divine purpose here on the planet. Although it can get really hard, our walk can be extremely challenging, but I think it's important for all trans people to remember that we all have a divine purpose, and we're here for many wonderful reasons.
Exactly, we are. And then once they realize that, their healing starts to take place, and they start realizing that it's a gift and not a curse. And I believe that through our healing, we're going to help heal the rest of the planet. And that's my view.
That is so true. That is so true. I think it's wonderful what you two are doing. And, this past year I've been on so many different talk shows and done so much media. But last night I was laying in bed and I was thinking, wow, tomorrow this is really special because these are my people. And, again, it's such a pleasure to be a part of this. So I'm happy to be here tonight with you too.
And we're happy to have you here for sure. Well, Rajee, give us a little history about your childhood and growing up feeling trapped in the wrong body.
Well, I would say I think it was pretty challenging. Like, I think for most trans people, we have a pretty challenging walk from the beginning. About the age of 4 is when I started to realize that I wasn't acting like the other boys were acting, and I felt like something was different about me. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I did feel like something was different, and that's when the kids actually started calling me names like sissy and faggot, and I remember this like yesterday. We had a popular neighbor in our neighborhood, Mr. Pembleton, and he was a fireman, and I remember 4 years old looking up at him and asking him what faggot meant. Well, of course, he didn't answer the question. He kind of swept it under the carpet, for lack of a better phrase. But, that was the beginning of me feeling, I would say, ostracized. And then as school came along, the bullying was relentless, and it was pretty challenging. For a long time, I identified as gay. I actually thought I was just an effeminate gay guy. Because, I'm not going to tell you what years we're talking about, because you never ask a lady how old she is. But let's just say, in the years that I was growing up, you didn't have any of the, support groups that you find now in the schools for LGBT, and there wasn't really a lot of information on trans. So I didn't actually identify as trans until, I would say I got in my 20s.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, to me, is a very gray line, because the LGBT community, to me, is one big family. It's just different spectrums of where we identify within that spectrum is what
exactly
makes us feel right. But to me, we're all what I call rainbow warriors, and we're here for a reason. And I think we need to unite as an LGBTQ community instead of fighting, instead of trying to find our differences, and trying to find our sameness. And I think
I agree. I saw that early on, even when I started going out into the club. My thing was always like, hey, we're kind of all in the same boat. We need to unify, instead of trying to label and segregate. It's hard enough for us as a group as it is. And, to me, there's power in unity. So I totally agree with you. Instead of labeling and trying to say, okay, this one's that and this one's, something else, we are really all family. And I love that. You said rainbow warriors. I love that.
She comes up with a lot of good, inspirational needs.
Well, it all comes from the heart, and I think once we all tap into our hearts, we become the creator gods that we are. And that's really
yes.
that. Rajee, what inspired writing Beyond Face Value?
Well, I've always loved writing. I actually have 3 other books out, but this was the big kahuna for me, because this was the first time I actually sat down and wrote about myself, about my journey. And I have to say, when you write about yourself, especially if you're trying to keep the story authentic, you have to visit things that maybe you had buried away and talk about mistakes that were, maybe embarrassing for you. But, I did want to stay true to my story and be as real as possible. When the story of my botched facial injections went global last year, it was like a whirlwind. And, like I said, I was on all sorts of talk shows, Dr. Phil, Anderson Cooper, The Christina Show, Premier Impacto, Germany TV. It was like worldwide. And after, things kind of settled down a bit, I was getting feedback from people all around the world, a lot of it positive, people saying that they were touched by my story and inspired by me. But I also received a lot of negative and actually some hateful comments from people around the world. And I thought, if I was going to ever write a memoir, this was the time to do it. Because the story of my botched injection, that's only one aspect of my journey. And I wanted to sit down and write my whole journey up until this point to share with anyone that would be interested in reading, and hopefully to be inspiring to anyone that reads it.
Definitely share it.
Yeah, definitely. Rajee, tell us how you felt when you learned that someone had died by the hands of the so-called professional that you trusted, and how were you introduced to this individual?
Well, I felt sad. I felt sad for the person. I felt sad for their family and friends. I also felt scared for myself, because going forward, I don't know what I'm going to face. I mean, I try to be optimistic and positive and go forward day by day, living my life with a positive frame of mind. But it did make me think, my goodness, could that happen to me? Because I did get the injections not only in my face, I got them in my breast and my hips and my buttocks. So as of now, I'm fine. I mean, I'm still going for treatment on my face because that's where I've had the really bad reaction. But as far as my body, for now I'm okay, and I'm just, staying prayerful and hoping for the best. I was referred to Duchess by word of mouth. Our community can be a bit obscure, and a lot of information is pretty much passed along by word of mouth. So I was told that she was someone good to go to. And I mean, let's face it, for especially trans women, this whole, getting pumped or black market injectables, it's almost been like a rite of passage for, many years. You get on the hormones, and then the next step is to do some sort of facial or body alterations. And, a lot of us, because of our economical status, situation, we're not able to go to a accredited doctor. So we go that route. And for some girls, it works out fine. For others, like myself, I had a really bad reaction from it. And for others, unfortunately, girls have died from it. So I would say the reason why I went public with my story is to kind of make lemonade out of lemons. Take my situation and hopefully educate the public on the dangers of this sort of thing. Because I know now that I could have died. I know now that I may have not even been here to share my story. So yes, I'm just so thankful that I am.
Yes, definitely. And it's unfortunate that the medical industry in the world today doesn't help to cater more to the transgender community. The medical itself, I mean, medical insurance and stuff like that, they refuse to cover transgender issues. And,
exactly.
I think this is the biggest part of the problem.
I have something to add. I think that it's sad that transgender individuals feel that they have to do all these things to their body to be who they are. I think the true nature of us is within us, is our spirit. And if we look back at ancient times, two-spirit individuals expressed themselves the way they saw fit, but they didn't do the things that we do today, which is very harmful to ourselves. I think that's a big lesson here for the trans community, that there is no need to actually hurt. I don't think that the more surgeries you do, the more things you do to beautify yourself, it's going to make you beautiful, become beautiful from the inside out. I mean, that's my view.
Well, right. And some of us have to learn the hard way. The title of my book, Beyond Face Value, I came to the realization that, the beauty part, the physical part, is really only temporary. And when I'm on my deathbed, I don't think I'm going to be thinking about how I look. I'm going to be thinking about who I touched, along my life's journey, and the good things that I did to contribute to the planet. So, it is so true what you two are saying. It's just that it's unfortunate because I think, we live in a very superficial world, and what happens is you start to feel the peer pressure of trying to, and I'll speak as a trans woman, trying to feminize yourself more, because people, when you're transitioning, especially when you're kind of in that in-between stage, I'd call it like androgyny, people can be extremely cruel. And it's easy to say, well, the hell with people, who cares what people think, but, when you're living it and you're feeling the pressure of trying to fit a particular image, it can be really difficult for someone, and a lot of times we resort to things like black market injectables. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying it's kind of perpetuated by the way society is.
We have to be leaders, and we have to toot our own horn, and we have to teach people that it's not all about the outside, that we're beyond that. As you said, beyond face value, we are, to me, we're very spiritually advanced beings, and we're here to actually show that androgyny. To me, androgyny is the most beautiful thing. It's part of that balance between the yin and the yang.
Right, and that's true. Definitely. Because, like Rajee was saying, here we are, we're trying to live our lives as the opposite sex that we were born in, as that's how we feel, and that's why we present that in that way. And society can make it very difficult for us to live androgynous. So it's either one way or the other. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to go that route. But
I don't think so. I think we need to educate society on how we stop definitely heartaches and the problems. Anyway, Rajee,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, and hopefully when people see someone like myself and hear about other situations that didn't go so well, it'll be a warning to like the younger trans generation coming behind us, so that they won't go down that road, So I got some flack from some of the trans community, the trans girls that feel like I shouldn't have said anything, that basically I should have just stayed quiet about this whole thing. But my thing is that I don't feel like if I hadn't taken this platform and really talked to people about what happened to me and my story, that I would be doing justice to the situation and helping the generations that's going to come behind, So it's just one of those things for our community. I think we could probably debate on the whole thing of appearances, and then, not caring about what people think and being true to oneself, because there's a lot of things about androgyny that I think is beautiful, and I actually have moments where I don't really even feel male or female. I feel kind of like somewhere in the middle there. So,
yeah, and that to me is a beautiful thing as part of that balance. I've always said that healers need to go through healing before they can help others heal. Tell us what you think your journey has done for you and how you're helping others now.
Well, through my therapy, because I bit the bullet for so many years, and I didn't go for any sort of counseling and therapy. And about 2 years ago, I was at the point where I felt like I was just going to lose it, and my world was kind of collapsing in on me. And thankfully, I went and got some help and some therapy, and I realized that I suffer from things like agoraphobia and post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. And, I said to my therapist, I said, my goodness, how did I go this long, just by